All right, is it? All right, it is going. All right, cool. So, what's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of our FAMU pregame analysis or pregame breakdown, whatever you'd like to call it. So, of course, as you know, today we're talking about none other than FAMU and USF. Last week was impressive. It was very impressive. Still a lot to clean up, honestly, as far as special teams and offense goes. Defense, I thought, did a stellar job. They answered the bell or they answered the call when they were asked upon to do so. And once again, they'll be tasked to do the same thing again today against the USF team that had basically 540 yards of total offense and a quarterback that is a dual threat. So they will be presented with the challenge today. I think the good thing about last week was when Jason Brown went out, you had Zy McDonald, who was kind of like a precursor of what you're going to see tonight with Byron Brown for USF. So I think that's going to that was a good thing for FAMU to see. So yeah, so of course, as you know, tonight we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about players to watch, answer a couple of questions, keys to victory, of course, a look at FAMU stats from last week and at USF stats from last week as well against Western Carolina. I mean, not West Carolina, Western Kentucky. Geez, there's so many. It's a lot going on. But nonetheless, as you know, of course, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you are watching this, be sure to leave a comment. If you are on your way out to the game and stuff, enjoy. And of course, we'll go further in detail and stuff, obviously, as you know. And with that being said, you know what? Let's go ahead and roll the intro. Let's go. All right, awesome. So, well, as I'm waiting for this picture, because actually it's funny because Chad's actually at the game tonight. So if y'all see Chad out there, say what's up to him. I'm waiting on this picture that he's sent me to load, but it's not loading. But in due time, it will. So before we really get going, so let's go ahead and dive right into it, of course. So for FAMU last week, as you know, a win over Jackson State, getting the monkey off your back, 28-10 in the Orange Blossom Classic. Awesome. You're in the driver's seat now. You control your own destiny, and whereas before someone else was controlling your destiny for you. So things get better with that. And then for South Florida last week, they lost 41-24 to Western Kentucky, but still put up some pretty impressive numbers. And as you know, so for as far as facts goes for FAMU, FAMU right now is looking to be the first SWAC school to upset an FBS opponent since 1985. FAMU themselves is looking to upset a team for the first time since 1979 against the University of Miami. And at the same time, too, FAMU has not, much like last week, the old adage is the demons are still there. So much like last week it was, FAMU hadn't scored a touchdown since 2014 against the University of Miami. And then boom, 4 touchdowns in one half from FAMU. Today, FAMU has not won in Tampa since the 1996 Florida Classic. And with that being said, you've played, I can't say how many. I think it's 2005, 2011, 2015, 2017 because of the Tampa Classic. And then it was also 2021 as well. So it was five games, didn't win any of them. So you're still looking for your first win since the 1996 Florida Classic. Also, too, defensively last week, you held JSU to 77 yards rushing in the first half. Or no. Wait. Yeah, that was the first half. Actually, you know what? We can always double check this and find this out. Give me 1 second. It's actually easier now when you have a tablet and stuff at your disposal. It's much easier. Wow, that's actually funny. You can't find. That's funny. You can't even find the FAMU JSU stats from last week on ESPN. All of a sudden, okay, wait. All right, that's better. All right, so last week, actually, you held Jackson State not even to 77 yards rushing. You held them to 72 yards rushing last week. So a heck of a job by the defense. They'll be asked to do that same type of thing again today. Moose had a strong first half, but a sloppy second half. As you know, 12 of 22, 150 yards, 2 TDs. He is your player to watch today at quarterback as well for FAMU. The ground game had 208 yards rushing between Jennings and Yant and company. Jennings and Yant, of course, 11 carries, 75 yards, and 11 carries for 72 yards for Jaquez Yant and a touchdown. They held on to the ball for the last 7 minutes of a game, too, which also speaks a huge testament. I know a lot of people were kind of getting worried there towards the end, but it actually speaks a huge testament to how well FAMU practices ball control and how well FAMU is good at just milking the clock. Because it's like if you – that's on how – you know how hard it is to sit on the ball for 7 minutes and just do nothing with it? Not a lot of teams can do that. It's impressive, yes. But I will also say, too, with running the ball, I also saw something that was very interesting last week. I know all y'all did, too. Lining up under center, which is something you hear when you hear shotgun Willie Simmons. It's like, okay, he's not going to do that, obviously. But lining up under center, I saw single back formation. Sometimes you'd have a tight end shifted off like a fullback to one side and then just power football, which was very impressive. So, again, the running game will be looked at again today to get going. Offense failed to generate points in the second half. That's not gonna cut it today against USF. It's really not. Offense. Okay, let's see. Only one defensive turnover last week. You would have liked to have seen more, but it is what it is. Now, as far as USF goes, they led 17-7 at one point in their game last week in their 41-24 loss. Byron Brown proved to be a very viable dual threat QB. They surrendered 336 yards passing by their defense. Austin Reed, who is Western Kentucky's quarterback, was 29 of 50, 336 yards, 2 TDs. USF does have a very strong rushing attack, 374 on the ground. They outscored Western Kentucky 24-7. Or no, they were outscored by Western Kentucky 24-7 in the second half. Offense ranks third in the nation in rushing yards, 540 total yards of offense. But also, too, they had 11 penalties for 100 yards last week, which honestly, I was talking with Ace about this morning, and I was like, you know what? The more I look at this, the more I do question, like, how do you only score 24 points, but you had 504 yards of rushing? But then it's like you look at the penalty yards and you see why. It makes sense now. So, as far as players to watch goes, as well as already mentioned, Jeremy Moose, Terrell Jennings, Jaquez Yant for FAMU. Jamari Shareed, 5 receptions for 90 yards, 1 TD last week. Also, too, you can't forget about Marcus Riley, or like basically huge game changer on special teams with the kick return touchdown, going the distance to start the game off. Linebacker Isaiah Major, 6 total tackles, 2 solo, 4 assists. Anthony Dunn, 2 sacks, 4 total tackles last week. Javon Morgan, 4 total tackles, 2 solo, 2 assists last week. And then for USF last week, it goes as follows. Also, too, let's go ahead and just throw this up there. It goes as follows for USF last week. Byron Brown, if you are watching on Twitter, make sure you head to YouTube to leave comments and stuff. Because I don't know what's wrong with the comment section on YouTube. It's weird. Me and Ace can't figure it out. Yeah, Byron Brown, basically this USF offense goes as he goes, so to say. 15 of 34 passing, 166 yards, 1 TD pass, 2 interceptions, but 25 carries for 160 yards and 2 rushing TDs. And then also, too, the running back behind him, Naquan Wright, 17 carries, 111 yards total for him, which, yes, this is why USF currently has the third best rushing attack in the country. Coffrey Brown, wide receiver, 3 receptions, 95 yards, 1 TD. Wide receiver Sean Atkins, 5 receptions, 43 yards, which that's a huge drop-off in receiving yards. Defensive back Jalen Stokes, 5 total tackles, 5 solo. Linebacker DJ Gordon, the 4th, 5 total tackles, 2 solo, 3 assists. And then defensive back Daquan Evans, 5 total tackles, 4 solo, 1 assist last week against Western Kentucky. Now, one thing I will say that I have noticed with USF is it's actually interesting because they had 2 players that bolted to Colorado too. Brian Beatty and it's JC Horn, I believe his name is. They both actually bolted off to Colorado as well, which is ironic in these first 2 weeks you're playing teams that have had guys leave and head off to Colorado. But yeah, so that's a little tidbit from between last week and this week that I figured I'd point out. But, questions, of course, now. Okay, so, how does the Dark Cloud defense slow down this dual threat? Simply put, you have to find a way to, spy Byron Brown, maybe Isaiah Major, Johnny Chaney, Jordan Moore, Eric Horn. You have linebackers that can do it. Spy him. Also, too, generating pressure consistently, gang tackling, things such as that. So Alan Smith Jr., guys like that have to get home. Gentle Hunt has to win his one-on-one matchups against this talented, or not talented, but he has to win his matchups against this USF offensive line. So, because honestly, here's what's going to happen. If you watch last week's game, USF does want to hit the accelerator and they want to go fast, which is why they had 540 yards of total offense. And if you look at Alex Golish's offense, this is one reason why Tennessee was so dangerous last year as well with Hendon Hooker. They were able to hit the accelerator and they wanted to just go. And that's what he's trying to establish here. And it's early parts of last week, it proved pretty successful. But it's just, the penalty yards and then stalling out, of course. But they have the capability. Also, too, will FAMU be able to establish its potent ground attack again? Again, Jaquezie and Terrell Jennings, 147 yards rushing last week. It's combined. Can you do that again? USF's defensive front or front seven, pretty talented. It is pretty talented. It's better than what it was under Jeff Scott. I'll say that. So we'll see how it goes. If you can establish the run, which you were able to last time the 2 played, but again, the 2021 team is a lot different from what we're going to see in 2023. So we'll see what happens. But if you can establish the run, though, it takes a lot of pressure off Musa. Which also brings me to the next question. Will we see the deep ball improve from Musa? You're going to have to see it. Musa's going to have to be able to make a lot of throws in this game. The one thing that I think that you can take away from last week from what you saw with Austin Reed in Western Kentucky is Austin Reed at times was able to find the soft spots in the coverage. And also, too, he had a deep bomb for a touchdown, which was one of his 2 TD passes. So if you are able to, quote unquote, get Musa into a flow early and find the soft spots in coverage, and if Musa is able to connect on his deep balls and stuff, you have a chance. But at the same time, too, your defense is going to have to slow down Byron Brown and slow down this rushing attack. Because USF, you've already seen it before. And honestly, even Flash has voiced his opinion too, basically saying, USF plans to go for 600 yards of total offense today. We'll see. Is this the best team FAMU will play all year? I think so. I absolutely do think so. I think this is the fastest and the best team FAMU will play all year because, honestly, I don't think anyone in the SWAC is going to be able to generate, honestly, 540 yards of total offense the way that USF did, and then they still lost. No, I don't think any other strike team's going to do that. Is there an opportunity to establish the run here? You bet your butt there is. How do special teams fix the 3-point try issues? Honestly, you saw. Well, I don't know if you saw it, but Willie Simmons basically, I was watching a piece of it, was when he spoke with the 220 QB club, or not, 220 QB club. He basically said, we made the proper adjustments, which meant, some guys got taken off of the field goal team, some guys got put on the field goal team. So hopefully that problem is solved. That was the only blemish that I noticed or that I felt was obvious with Doc Gamble's special teams unit. Aside from that, though, I thought special teams was exceptional, honestly. What has to happen for the ground game to get off to a quick start again? I think honestly you have to do what you did last week. Come out from the jump and literally just make an impact. You have to. You can't just sit. But honestly, they won't. But you can't just sit back and wait for someone to make a play. So I think, honestly, if you were able to start fast and strike early and often, and kind of catch USF by surprise, it's possible. It's very possible. Now for USF, how good is USF really? Honestly, we don't know. We won't know for quite a while this season because what has happened now with basically Houston, Cincinnati, UCF all leaving, this should be USF's conference now, but I mean, I don't think it will be. I think someone like SMU or someone else will step to the plate. Not Navy. No, not Navy. Or Tulane, of course. Well, yeah, this conference does belong to Tulane now, to be real with you. How does this defense slow down FAMU's run game? They're going to have to swarm and they're going to have to gang tackle. If USF's going to win, they have to swarm and gang tackle. How do they limit the explosive plays? Hopefully, they did like all of us did. They saw the film from last week. They're going to do their best to try to take away certain receivers that Musa wants. They're going to try their best to, eliminate those soft spots in coverage. And they're going to try to bring pressure and get home. They're going to try to rattle Musa early. Who is RB1 today? Honestly, I'm not too sure. Honestly, if I had to bank on it, I would trot out either Terrell Jennings or Jaquez if I had to be honest with you. Probably Jaquez because he is the power back and he more than showed his worth. But I think it's honestly going to be either Jaquez or Terrell Jennings, to be honest with you. At some point, we will see Kelvin Dean because he is the speedster. But right now, I don't. Yeah, I think it's Jaquez. Let's see what else we got here. How does this secondary match up with the Rack Boys? Look, again, 336 yards through the air last week, given up by USF secondary. If I see that, if I'm Willie Simmons, I'm going to do my darndest to hopefully my offensive line holds up early, and I'm going to try to challenge these guys. I'm going to try to establish the run, and I'm going to try to make them respect the run, and then I'm going to try to attack the secondary as best as I can. Because remember, we saw in some instances last year against North Carolina where the Rack Boys gave UNC all they could handle. There's no reason you couldn't do it today. It's very much possible offensively. But again, it comes with, working Musa into a flow. Willie Simmons wasn't too worried about it when he spoke to people about, and when he even spoke to the media earlier this week about, Musa's deep ball and issues with that. He said, of course, Marcus Riley missed some time with injuries and stuff in fall camp and everything like that. So that's why it was a little off, but it'll come with time, honestly. And he said that he was going to look to Coach KJ Black to kind of help coach up Musa a little bit from a distance because, of course, Coach KJ Black is with the Rams. So hopefully it does improve tonight. How does this offense rack up 500 plus yards of offense and only score 24 points? Honestly, I wish Ace was here to talk to y'all about that, to kind of explain that better. But honestly, from what I saw, it was a lot of stalling out, to be real with you. It's like they had the explosive plays. You see the capability that USF has, but it's just like, dude, you're stumbling over yourself in the red zone. Which honestly, it's like if they had capitalized on a couple of plays in the red zone, they would have been able to, rack up more points, and that 500 yards would have made more sense. All right. How does Byron Brown improve in the passing game for USF? Simply put, I think it's just you got to work the short routes first and then go deep. He proved that he can throw the deep ball, honestly. But, again, I think they're going to have to work him into a flow. They are. He's gonna see pressure from FAMU's front seven. He is. He already talked about how defense rattles Musa and everything. So as far as keys to victory goes, and again, you guys can drop your score predictions and stuff and questions in the comment section as well. So as far as keys to victory goes for me, simply put, I'll say this. For one, key to victory number one, you got to stop Byron Brown in the rushing attack. If this rushing attack catches wind, then the offense catches wind. And again, Alex Golish wants to punch the accelerator. He wants to run multiple plays, get multiple plays in, and wear out the defense. And then that way it's just, touchdown after touchdown after touchdown, free play, mistakes. He wants to do that because he did it at Tennessee. 2, you establish the rushing attack. If you establish a rushing attack, that opens up the offense for anything you want to do. And then that also helps out Musa. As well, too, also consistency from Musa is key to victory number 3. And I'm not just talking about consistency in the first half. I'm talking about he has to be consistent in the second half, too. There cannot be any lackadaisical play. You got to hit your deep balls, and you got to work the short to intermediate routes in the mid-range passing attack. You have to work that too. All total, I think if FAMU is able to do that, there is a chance at victory. Now, for my score prediction, I will roll out with this. I still think USF edges FAMU. I do. And I'm going to say by 2 touchdowns. Which honestly, of course you want to win every game, but I wouldn't even feel bad if this was the final score. Okay, comment section. Good guys 34, bad guys 24. Honestly, you have not been wrong. You were pretty spot on last week. I could see it. I could actually see it. And it's actually funny that you mentioned that because secondary coach Devon Morgan, he actually mentioned it earlier today that he won an ACC title with Virginia Tech in this building. I believe it was back in 2008. And he said he had a good feeling about tonight. So we'll see. But that, keep an eye on that. That's interesting. But yeah, no. Oops. Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's what I'm sticking with tonight. So I think USF pulls it out. I saw that. Yeah. No, it got me hyped too, because I totally forgot about that. I was like, that's right. He did play at Virginia Tech. And that was back when the ACC championship was in Tampa, which honestly, me personally, I think, and you as well, bias aside, I felt like the ACC championship should have never left Tampa. I thought that it was perfect here. It would have got me to go if, say, like, Florida State or Miami would have made it and stuff, or even one of these times that Clemson had made it, I would have definitely gone. But, it is what it is. It's in Charlotte now. Hopefully it comes back. But yeah, no, honestly, that caught me by surprise too. It got me hyped. So I'm really curious to see how this goes tonight. Also, too, unfortunately, there is no Marching 100 tonight. they did not make the trip for the first time in all these visits to Tampa. So hopefully, they'll be there in spirit, of course, but they're prepping for the home opener next week, and they've done basically 2 straight performances, basically going to Houston for, I think it was the Cracker Barrel National Battle of the Bands or something like that, I believe it was. And then of course down in Miami having 2 performances, the Battle of the Bands, and then the halftime show in the Orange Blossom Classic. So I mean, three performances like that, it is what it is. I can't fault them for not going, honestly. They didn't go to Orlando when FAMU played UCF. It is what it is. We're looking forward to seeing them next week, though, against West Florida. So, I'm going to leave it with that. That's my final prediction. FAMU 24, USF 38. Again, much like last week, I hope I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll put my foot in my mouth. There will be a post-game reaction this time around. So make sure you come on back after the game. We'll talk about what went right, what went wrong, what looked good, what didn't. Was it an upset? Was it not? We'll talk about it. Also looking ahead to West Florida for next week and everything like that. So, come on back. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel and stuff. As well, always thank you so much for watching. If you're on your way out to the stadium, hope you stay safe, stay blessed, and enjoy tonight as well too. So, yeah, take care. We will see you after the game.